everyone. I extend a warm welcome to you all for the day 2 of ITP Guide 7.0 organized by the MS Club of SLIIT. I'm Hinesha Pereira and I will be your host for tonight's event. This session is conducted as a support for your ITP module, and as you all already know, there will be two esteemed guest speakers who will be elaborating on the front-end and back-end development. Without further delay, let's move into our first session. Mr. Gihan Siriwardhana, who is a senior software engineer at OnRamper, is here with us today. Over to you, Mr. Gihan.
Hey guys, good evening. Can you all hear me? Can someone confirm that they can hear me or not?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, great. So first of all, thank you for inviting me for the session. And we start this session like so long ago, and really happy to see that it continues to 7 iterations. So for this session, this was like actually like a last minute request, so I didn't have any time to prepare anything, so I don't have any slides or prepared or well structured presentation. So I'm just going to start coding, and I'll try to do like live coding as much as possible. Because like I want this to be an interactive session as well, so you all are encouraged to ask questions, raise your hand or whatever. Even like you can like even unmute yourself and shout. So let's get to it. Let me try to share my screen. Yeah, great. I need someone like respond because I want this to be a conversation. I don't want to be like just do a lecture. Because there's like no point of doing a lecture again and again, right? Yeah. So this session was, so my topic was to talk about front-end development, right? So before we go into like front-end, when we like talk about an application like software or application, whatever that we call down nowadays. So there are like so many different types, right? So we have web applications, we have mobile applications, we have desktop applications, we have hybrid ones, right? So in this session, we'll focus on web development. So in web development as well, there are like so many architectures that we can use. Like monolithic architecture, a server client architecture, microservice architecture. There are like lot, right? But when it comes like front end, it almost similar in all case scenarios, right? So we're just trying to build something that we can show users information about the application and get their inputs and process and etc. Right? So in front-end development, you have heard like a lot of like new frameworks there, right? You may have like React, Angular, Flutter, Laravel, like loads, right? So even like we can't even keep up with the new frameworks that pops up with frontend. But whatever the framework that you guys want to work in, it just comes down to 3 parts, right? So it's just going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So whatever the language, whatever the framework that you can use, it's going to boil down to these 3 parts, because front end we tend to like show it in a browser window, right? So browsers can only consume and display these 3 types. So whatever the language or the framework, what we're doing is like we are making our lives easier to develop these 3 parts by incorporating these frameworks, right? So in order for you to be a good front-end developer, you need to have a good understanding about these 3 and how these 3 works, what are the syntaxes, not even like syntax, but how it works and what they can do each part. So I think I have like an hour or so for this session, but I can't cover everything. So by show of hand, like how many of you have done React or Vue, Angular, or any kind of front development before? Count. Raise. All right, no hands. I can't see any hand, but I'll assume that you may have like at least tried IWT, right? IWT. I'm not sure the syllabus right now, because when we were there, we had IWT, we had OOP, we had to do some kind of development based on PHP and JSP on front end. So I assume that you all know these three parts. So I'm going to start, acknowledge that you know these three parts. I'm going to move forward, right? So for this session, even though there are like a lot of front-end frameworks, we have React, we have Angular, we have Vue, we have Next, loads, right? So for this session, I'm going to focus on React because it's the one that I'm familiar with mostly. And other than that, it's one of the most growing platforms, and the government support is huge. So it is debatably the best framework. It's debatable. So I'm going to focus on React, right? Uh, React is not actually a framework. React is a front-end library that we can use to just make it easier for us to develop web pages, web applications, a bit more like complex applications, because React library comes with like so many pre-built components, pre-built functionalities that we can use to enhance our developer experience as well. So we'll just start with React. So React is a framework that was developed by Facebook internally. So now it calls called Meta, but it was developed inside Facebook as an internal project. But after some time, they export they extended it to the public world. They make it open source. Now React is one of the most growing frameworks, as I mentioned earlier. So let's start a React project, and we'll do coding because I don't want to keep talking and talking. I won't start coding. So in order for you to create a React application, there are several ways. You can always start with an empty project, and you can build your own way up, right? But we have tools now. We have a tool called npx. So you can type this code. So I'm using a Mac here. I'm using MacBook, but even in Windows or Linux, whatever the platform that you are in, you have to install on. I forgot to mention that as a. So in order for you to work with React, you need to have two things. You need to have one is Node.js installed. So you need to have Node.js installed and configured, and then second part is you need to have npm. Sorry. Then you need to have npm installed and configured as well. So if you have like these two parts, you can start with React application. So for this, I'm going to use this library called create React app. Create React app, and then space. You can give your project name. So for this, I gave the name ITP guide. So this takes a couple of minutes. So I have already created one for you. So I just want to show you the command. So if I go to my project, it's ITP guide, and let me start open it from VS Code. So while I'm doing this, you can always ask questions, right? Can you guys hear me? So my Teams crashed for some reason. I'm not sure why. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
I'm really sorry, my Teams crashed. I don't know what happened, but Teams sucks on Mac. So sorry. So where did I stop? Shall I show you when I open the code? Hello. Hello.
Yes, Saya, we can see you.
Yeah. When did I crash? So have you guys seen when I opened the VS Code?
Yes.
All right, great. So I have a fresh React application. So whenever you run that command that I showed you earlier, so create React app space app name, you get this project started for you. So everything is there. So we can just go ahead and start the it as well. So I'll do it in the internal terminal. Yeah, so we can run the command npm. So I think I don't have time to teach you about npm commands, but I hope you all know that. So I can run npm run, npm start. So then should spin up a front-end environment for us. Let me start this from my other browser. This is my Office browser. So this is the application. So this is a boilerplate code, boilerplate application that React npm created spins up for you. So you can go ahead and start and explore the code as well. So everything we write, we should write it in this src folder. So you can see we have several files. So I'll just give you a brief intro on React. So in React, what we do is React a component-based library. So we create multiple components that can be like reused and that can be developed individually and tested individually as well. So whenever we start a React project, so there are two main files that we need to be careful about. So this index file and this app file. So what React is going to do is like whenever like we build these components individually and whenever like we try to run it, what React going to do is React going to compile everything and display everything dynamically into single div. So all of these are like handled for us. So we need to be careful about this file, index file. So you can see this. Let me actually show you it. So in React, there is only one HTML file. So it is this index.html file. And you can see in this HTML file, there's only one div with ID root, right? So what React going to do is React going to boil down everything that we write, every component, every animation that we can write. It's going to write and dynamically render everything inside this div here. For this, what we're going to do is this is handled by here. So you can see we are going to root everything. So this is the root file and get element by ID root. That's the div I just showed you. So it's going to render everything in this root. So this app is the file that we're going to start first. So this is the file that we're going to start coding. So you can see, we actually try to have the code and everything in one page, one display, one screen. All right. So yeah, so you can see this is what we have in our web application. So let's say I want to change this to ITP, right? And as soon as I say this, you can see we get this here, ITP guide here. And so this is the data, right? So I hope you have a basic understanding, but if you don't, you can always raise your hand. Don't even like raise your hand as well. So you can ask questions straight away. Yeah. So let me get rid of these ones. So I'll explain you. Let me get rid of these things. I'm going to remove this one as well. Yeah. So in React, there are several types of components. So I was asked to cover some advanced topics like security, routing, caching, data fetching, all these things. But I don't think I can go beyond that point without giving you guys like a basic understanding of how React works and React component structure. So in React, basically, there are three types of components. We have two types basically. We have class-based components and we have functional components. So class-based is the old standard of having components, but nowadays it's so like moved on to this functional component. So there's like no point of me teaching you about class component. So I'll literally go with a functional component actually. So yeah, I'm going to remove that as well. So in a component, we have two parts. So this is going to be called app. So I'm going to create a function called app, const app. So this is our function. So I need to export this as well. So in this application, we need to return a JSX element. What is a JSX element? It's called JSX. JSX element is like mostly similar to an HTML element. HTML element that you may have understood, like div, h1, image tags, input tags. So this is very similar, but there are like some rules. So I'll explain while I'm there coding. So I need to render some return JSX file. So and we can only return one element at a time. So in this one, I'm going to return a div. So within this div file, we can add everything that we need for this component. So I'm going to hello reactivity. I don't know what dating is. Okay, yeah. So whenever we render inside this div, we will display it as part of this component. So also we have is there a chat? All right. So we have different components. So we have parent components and child components. We can actually pass data beyond them as well. So let me create a child component here as well. I'm going to create a new folder called components for the folder management, and I'm going to create a new component called product. This product folder, I'm going to create a file called product.jsx. So this can be JS or JSX, but I prefer using JSX because these are JSX components, and this is also a component, right? So it's the same thing. So we can create a component like this, product, and let me go to my app file, and so we have two components, right? We have app component, we have product component, right? So in product component, let's say we have product, let's say Apple iPhone 15, and let's say 256 GB, price as let's say RX 150,000. So let's say I want to display this product in here, just below this React file. What we can do is we can actually import this product folder as here. Like this, right? So you can see we have imported this product component from our file. So this is inside our components folder, and this is a file name. So we have used that one here. So you can see when we are like rendering this app file, we can actually add more and more components, right? So if I want two products, I can add this, right? Like this. But let's say I want to display 15 Pro and Pro Max as well, right? So do we need to create duplicate components for product 15 Pro Max, product 15 Pro, right? We can actually reuse this component. That's one of the like most important things about React and all these like component-based front-end frameworks. So what we can do is we can pass this data. So let me go again here as well. So what if we do this? We have an array. Products. I'm going to go with an object array. So I'll go with the title iPhone 15. Let's say storage 256 GB, price $. All right. So I'm going to copy this one. Pro 15 Pro Max, like this, right? So then what I can do is I can actually pass this data into a component. How can I do it? I can actually create a parameter name. So similar as like whenever like you create functions, right? So we have functions and we have parameters. So using parameters, we can pass data into a function. So this is like very similar. We have to have parameter name and the value. So in here, the parameter name is going to be product. And I'm going to use this value here. So whenever we want to use JavaScript value, we have to use this parenthesis. And I'm going to add products is an array, right? Array. I'm going to get the 0th element here. So same as that, I'm going to go with dot 1 and 2. Nothing happens because we haven't used that yet. So in product component, we know that we are going to get a we are going to get a parameter, right? So similar to function. So this parameter is going to be props. So we call them props. So let me actually render this one. So console.log props. I'll log these ones so that you can see what comes as props. So if I save this one, you can see we have these ones. So you can see when we log props, we get an object, right? So instead of object, we have something called product. Inside the product object, we have the values that we defined earlier. So we can refer to this value as this. You can add p. I can say so props dot title props dot storage props dot price. So if we save this one, what happens here? Okay, nothing happens. Why is that? Sorry. This should be product props has. So I'm going to use the structuring here. So I'm getting an object, right? Not. No, I treat props as. I'm getting an object called props, but inside there we have to have this product. Yeah, so let me give this style. So you can see now we have 3 components. Now we have 3 products. So 15, 15 component, 50 products, right? So you can see we have reused this component 3 times. Yeah, we have used the same component 3 times, and we don't have to duplicate code, right? Yeah. So let me go to a bit more advanced example. So we'll do some more. Let me get. So I don't see the teams. So if it is crashed, just let me know. I'm seeing some chats in the chat, but I can't see it. It's just a dot from me. Is there any questions? Hello. Hello. You need to respond to me because I can't see your faces. Can you at least hear me?
Yes, I am.
All right. So yeah, just give me a simple feedback. So yeah. All right. So let's go into like a bit more advanced example, right? So in this example, what we have done is that we have hard code these values, right? So we have hard code these values in our code, right? But in production scenario, in a company or in apps that you build in production, this won't be the case, right? So you will get this data from a backend or some other place, some other API. So I think Rusiru is ready to show you guys how to build an API. So let's just assume we have an API already built. So I think you can ask Rusiru on everything about APIs. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use this fake API. Let me see if I can get that one. Yeah, so for this demo, I'm going to use this API. So this is a fake API basically. So we can call this API and this will return us an array of products. So I can show you guys in Postman as well. So whenever I call this API, you can see we are getting an array of products every time we call. So we are going to use this as our data source, and we are going to build our application on that. So I can actually post this URL as well if you guys want to give it a try. I'll let this reject. Yeah. All right, so now we are going to call a backend API to a front end, right? So there are few ways that we can do that. Let's go here. So let me actually create a new component called product grid. I'm going to show you it in a grid as well. Product grid should be the components. Yeah, product, and we have product grid. So in here, I'm going to create a new file called product grid.jsx, or you can even call this index as well. So whatever you prefer. Yep. So what we are going to do is we are going to call this our API. So I'm going to use this instead of our app.js. I'm going to keep a clean app.js file. So I'm going to remove this one for now, even this. And here I'm just going to call the product grid because I want to keep a clean app.js file. Yeah, we don't have anything as of yet. So I want to fetch those data from that API. So there are several ways that you can do that. So there's this fetch API that we can get with JavaScript, and we can actually let me show you as well. I need to copy this URL. Uh-oh. Why? I'm missing column. So if we go to our console and I refresh this one, so you can see we are getting that data, right? So we are getting that data to our front end. So we have category, we have price, we have ratings, title, even an image as well, right? This is this the one. So this is not the API that I showed you, right? Wait. The one that I showed you is this API. So this one. Yeah. Let me post that as well. So there are several APIs like that one. So you can see we are getting quite a bit of new components, now new products. So you can see we have these things, right? All right. So this one, yeah. We're getting a lot of new ones. So we have images, we have titles, everything. So, but I'm not a very big fan of this fetch API because it's one that comes by default with React and all, like even like Node or JS platforms. So I'm a very big fan of Axios. So there's a new library called not new. There's another library called Axios that you can use to fetch data more effectively. And so Axios comes with like a lot of different functionalities out of the box, and it helps us with like error handling, data manipulation, formatting, and everything. So I'm going to install that one. So if you guys want to show it, it's called Axios. So this is the library that I'm going to use. I think, as I mentioned earlier, you can install a number of libraries packages using npm. So I'm going to use npm install Axios. So now we have Axios installed. It's like instant, and it's just took like 3 seconds. Now we can use Axios. We can use import Axios from Axios, and rather than use this one, I'm going to use Axios endpoint. So how can we do it? So let's say Axios, it's actually the same thing, but I like this better. Then response. I'm going to log response here. Response.data. So if I check the logs, should be similar. See, it's actually the same thing, but I like this syntax better than the fetch, and this provides us some the function as well that I don't have time to explain. So I'm going to use these products inside our application. So in the product grid, let's remove this one. Yeah. Let me create a better product page. So I don't have time to do live code. I love doing live coding, but with the time frame, I'm just going to copy some code here, but I'll explain everything. Product. This I'm going to remove. So, all right. And in my product grid, so you know that we can get this data. So now we have seen that we can get this data from console, but how we can use this data instead of component. So in React, there are two main types of data handling. So in component, we can use data from props, and also we can maintain a state as well. So what is state? So state is, in simplest terms, state is a variable that we can manipulate and use within the component. So let me create a state so that the developers can see. Const. So this is the actually syntax to create a state. Use this one. Go to import. So use state. So in here we can create a variable called products. So there are two parts. So this returns an array. So the zeroth element is the actual state name, and this one is the function to set the state. So I'll just show you how to do this as well. Yeah, and also whenever like we are dealing with components, we have component life cycle, something called component life cycle. Let me see if I can React component life cycle. Get an image, good image. Yeah, so this is so in React component, what we do is like whenever like we start, when we like try to like render component, we go to this component mounting stage, and whenever it's mounted, we can see it inside our DOM element. DOM element means we can see it inside our browser, and then we can interact with our component, and we can update our component values, animations, and everything. And then when we don't want the component, we can go to unmounting. So usually when we want to fetch data from external component, external party, we use that whenever we mount this component. So how can we do that? We can use this new hook called use effect. Use effect like this. Again, need to import it. It's import as well. So this use effect hook will take care of importing data and fetching the data from other parties, and this will run every time when we mount this component for the first time. So this, you can see this, you can see an empty array here, right? So this empty array means this will run every time we try to mount this component. So I'm going to move this code here, and so rather than me logging this data, what I can do is I can actually set products response.data. Now, every time we render this data, render this component, we should call this Axios, this endpoint, and this data should be set inside this products variable. So let's see how we can use that one. So let's console.log and see what is inside this one, products, and let me refresh it. You can see first we have empty array, and then so we can see this is empty, right? So this, the initial value is empty array. So whenever like we run, we call this endpoint, and you can see this array is inside this products variable. So how we can update that one? How we can like display that one? So let me go ahead and see this. Product grid here. Yeah, so let me products.map, and this will give us a product back, and this should return yeah, you can see we are loading everything. So I'll explain what I have done. So now whenever like we have this product data fetch, we can access those data from this product variable, state variable. And since this is an array, I'm going to map over that array, and I'm going to return a product for each and every of these elements. So you can see that's what I've done. So this is the similar thing. So in what I did earlier was I can show that as well. So what we did earlier was product equal product 0, right? This is what we did earlier, and we have one as well. So you can see now we have two products here, but rather than hard coding this everything, I used a loop to go through this entire array and run those things. Yeah. This one, let me style this a bit. So you guys can see. I hope you guys know CSS. I can make this display a flex and can give a ref here. Let's see how this looks. So import this one, import product. CSS, yes, it works. And yeah, let's go ahead and style this product here as well. For that, I'm going to create the style file as well. Style.css. I have created a few of these styles because I want to save some time. .css. Style should be style. Okay, now we can see we have a grid. We have products as well, product cards, and let's give a bit of gap here as well. We can give a gap as one rem better, and we give a margin. Yeah, this works as well for now. Yeah, so now we can see here we have rendered products from an external API. So couple of things. So we are actually fetching this. So if we go ahead and go to this network tab, you can see I fetch everything every time, right? So whenever I refresh this, you can see I am fetching this one, right? I'm fetching this again and again. So every time I even like click on this, whenever like I want to use it, but again and again, I'm going to fetch this again and again. And it, so even though like this is a very simple API, but when it comes to a production API, it might take some time and it will slow your application down as well, right? So for this, we can use caching. So what's caching? What is caching? Anyone? All right. So caching is basically setting up a new layer. So we have our front end here, and then we have a back end. So every time we execute this API call, we have to go to our we have to get to the back end, right? But that costs a delay, right? That costs a network delay, and that costs a process delay as well. So what caching does is like we can have a layer in middle, layer in central, in center, that we can store this data temporarily, and whenever like we execute the same query again and again, we don't have to go to our backend every time. We can just use data from this caching. So whenever like we want to, there are several ways of implement this cache, right? You can actually set up this cache by yourself by storing everything in the browser storage. I think whenever like you did PHP, I think you have used local storage to keep sessions. So you can store everything in local storage and get manually by yourself, or else you can use an external libraries. So one of my favorite external libraries is React Query. React Query. So React Query is an amazing tool that can provide us with so many functionalities, with caching, with error handling, with data management, and even load management as well. So just give it a like read whenever like you guys have free time, but I'll just show you how to implement a React query. So for that, I'm going to create a new file. And one other thing. Let's say without using React query, I want to show. So this comes super fast, right? So yeah, you can see there's a delay, right? There's a small delay. If I like refresh it, you can see we have wide screen for a couple of seconds, right? So let's say if I want to show a loading animation there, it can be a loading spinner, whatever animation, right? So how we can display that? So it's a bit hard with this Axios. So then we need to analyze if this is an empty array, if this empty is just show loading, if not show this product page, if not, if an error, you need to show error message. So it's a lot more like manual work, right? But with using React query, we can do this like very simply and with the code. So for this, I'm going to create a new folder called utils, and in here I'm going to for this I need to install React as well. So first npm install React query. So while it is installed, I'll just go ahead and install. I'll get a new file called fetch data.js. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch our products const export const fetch products. We need to use React query as well. Import from React query. So I'm going to import use query hook from React query. Let's have this one as well. Use query. So first thing is we need to give a unique name for this query. So I mentioned to you earlier that like React query keep a cache in our local storage. Local storage, I can't remember it's a file storage or not. But anywhere, like they are going to keep a cache. For us to like identify this cache uniquely, we need to give a unique name for each and every of these query. So for this, I'm going to give this like all products. It can be whatever string. And the second parameter is going to be a callback function. Synchronous callback function actually. Sync function. So I need to make this use as well. So because this is a function, this is a hook. Use fetch product. So every hook should start with this word use. Use query async. Inside this, we can implement our access code. So this is very simple. I will just copy it from here. Fetch data. But rather than using this kind of way, I can use asynchronous way. Const data equal await Axios, import Axios as well, import Axios from Axios. This is our URL, data await Axios get data, we'll call this response, and we are going to return response.data. So this will handle our data fetching part, and this will handle the React query with caching and everything, right? And also you can see use query point at least like written. So this is the data. This is the data that we are return from this function, and you can see there are function called is loading, is error. So we can use this function to determine the state of our backend call and error as well. And we can call refetch as well. So I'll explain what refetch is. So from this function we can return these things. So before we start using React, there's one other thing that we need to do. That is, we need to set up our query client. For that, we need to go to this index.js file, and here we need to import React query client. So query client. Let me go ahead from query. Alright. Import query client and the query client provider. I'm going so fast because I know I'm fast, but I need to cover everything. I'm almost ran out of time, so it's really hard to explain these things in one hour, right? For a client provider. For this, we need to provide a new query client. Const query client equal new query client. Client provider client equal query client. All right. So now we can use React query. So the beauty of React query is that we know we don't need to use these states, use effects, anything, right? So we can just simply say we can call our use products query hook, and we can get everything that we need on data. And so for this product we'll use data directly. We are still getting few errors, so because this is like loading time, right? So let's check if we can identify that as well. So let's say data and is loading. I can say is loading, then h1 loading, else. So you can see we are having this loading. So this take few seconds, right, to load these products. So you can see the loading, and after that, so you can like replace this with like animation, spinner, whatever you like. But the beauty of this is like this caches things. So if I have another page, if I want to use this again, but this, and if we want to use it again, this won't call our backend again and again. So this will cache our data inside our browser. So this will make your application like more fast. I think I have, how much time do I have left? Can I get like some 15 seconds, 15 minutes?
I take your time.
All right. Rusiru, sorry, Rusiru, if you are here, sorry, I'm going to take 15 minutes. Yeah. So you can see we have our products. Then I'm going to show you guys routes. Routes is so now as of yet this is like a single page, right? Single page, and we have everything here. But what if we want to use more than one page? And what if we want to link those pages together? So then that's where React routing comes. So for that we need to install this new library called npm install React router DOM, I guess, yeah, router DOM. All right, so then we can add new pages. So let me create a new, no, I'll do this directly. So in here we have this product grid, right? But what if we want, we want to have more than one page? So we'll import our routers here. Import route and routes from React DOM. So I'll remove this one for now. Yeah. So I actually have GitHub Copilot. So that's why I'm getting these things generated. So this is not like no magic. I have GitHub Copilot purchased. But try it. It's really good. But it's cost you money. It's I think like $20 or something per month. But it's absolutely worth it if you are a hardcore programmer. And then what I need to do is I need to set up my route client in here, yeah, browser router. So I'll add here, I come here and I'll import browser router. So this will provide me with functionalities to use those routes. All right, so now everything is back to the where we went. So if I explain this a bit, so what is a route? Route is a website URL. So if you copy a URL, let's say I'll take this URL. So if I get this URL, so there are these are several parts, right? So this is obviously the protocol, and this is the domain name. This part, and these are other path parameters, right? So what we are manipulating here is these things. So so up to this point, this is managed by our servers, our domain providers, and we have control of these parts. So this is how we actually give new URLs. So let's say I want to make this product, and if I go back, so you can see I don't see anything when I go to this just slash, right? But if I go to products like this, you can see our component is getting loaded correctly. All right. Then I'm going to create a new page. I am going to create a new page. Let's say let me actually create a new folder called pages. Get a new page called product page. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is like I'm going to, whenever I click on this any of these images, I want to go to a dedicated page, right? So let me just copy everything from the page, because I don't have time to actually to do type everything. I like this shit. Product page. I got some styles here as well. I'll explain this one. I'll explain what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to make this like PT. I'm going to add the carousel as well. So I'll install that as well. Install React response carousel. Okay, and in here, so we have a product here, right? So I go to product one. So whenever I click on this product card, I want me to navigate to this new product page, right? So I can add one click, listen. So in order for you to like navigate between pages, there's this new use navigate hook from React.dom, and this will const navigate equal use navigate. What you can do is you can use navigate and like this. So you can see I'm going to navigate something for a page called product/product ID. So let's create this route first. I go to app.js. I'm going to copy this thing. So for this one, I need a new one, right? So I need product ID, but I want to use this product ID inside my component. So I should make this a parameter, right? So in React route, we can specify parameters using colon product ID. And for this component, I'm going to use product page. Okay, fetch data. Okay, all right. So if I go to my product page, so I'll just comment these for now, because I want to show you guys how to use these parameters, past ones. I'll just copy everything, comment everything. Even this fetch data, copy it. Is load not defined? Where is that? Okay, I comment this one as well. So I want you guys to see how we can get this parameter. So you can remember that we mentioned product ID as a parameter, right? And we can use this hook, use params. Use params comes with React natively, and we can use params and get this variable called params. And I can actually log that one here. So you can see console.log params, and if I go to my console and I refresh this one, and if I click on here, you can see we are navigating to this new link, right? We are navigating to product and /13. So 13 should be our product ID, and you can see this is returned in this params object, right? So then you can use that inside our component. So I'll just uncomment everything, and so I need to fetch data only for product as well. So this one will fetch product for everything, but we need one for fetch product by ID, right? Product by ID, and we can pass the ID here as well. But we need to make sure that our query name is unique. So I'll add fetch by ID. I'll actually add this one. Fetch ID, and I'm going to add the ID here to make sure it is unique ID. And so in that URL, you can see can add my ID here as well. ID. product page. Use fetch product by ID. Okay, now we can see we had products, and whenever I click on it, I can go to this one, right? So we have a cursor and everything. So I can share this code as well. So I think I already took more than the time I was allocated, but I get that, right? So I can't cover everything in 1 hour. So if you guys are interested in doing like a lengthy session, just talk to your MS Club representatives and we can organize one as well in React. But I prefer to have like not an online one. I prefer to have a physical meetup if you guys are interested. So if you guys are interested, just like let your representatives know, and they will try their best to organize a session. So I'm sorry if I was hoping to cover more topics, but you can see we don't have enough time. So if you guys have any questions, just raise them right now so that I can answer. Any questions so far? All right, welcome. So I can share this code as well. So if you want, just ask. I'll share a GitHub repo with this code so that you can copy this and use it in your projects. Yeah, other than that, that's it from me.